Hi, I'm here to do another weekly read. Just pull some cards on the general energies of the week that you might be feeling, and I will be doing signs also at secondary to this after the collective portion of the read. I will mark it with timestamps in the comments and in the description box so that you don't have to watch through the whole thing if you just want to click on which one. Now, this week promises to be kind of an intense week. From an emotional standpoint, we have a full moon on Tuesday. I think that reaches peak at 7:49 Eastern Daylight Savings Time. As and anytime there is a full moon, we can feel an emotional intensity anyway. But this time it's in Scorpio, it's in the sign of Scorpio. So it's going to possibly be pulling on our sense of nostalgia. It could be pulling on things that were kind of hidden deep within us. And when I say that, I mean, you could encounter a television show or a situation that really puts you back into the mind space of a situation that happened in your past or your childhood. Or, you could encounter, we're still in Mercury retrograde, I believe. Mercury will be stationary direct, but it's still at play. So things from the past could definitely come up in a form of a trigger kind of thing. This is definitely the era where you could cry at a commercial, or really get into your feels about something, and recognizing that time that's what we're in. It can help soothe things a little, and it allows you to be kind to yourself and other people during this time so that we don't overreact, so that we don't think the end of the world is here, so that we can adjust and understand that these are just some of the energies at play anyway, and how best can we utilize that energy and what's it for. Now, Scorpio itself is a sign of transformation. It's ruled by Pluto, and it's also a sign of death and rebirth. So this is a time where we let things go that no longer really serve us moving forward. And the best use of this is when we can just recognize that that's what's at play. So that heavy nostalgia, the feelings we don't like to deal with that might come up, let them, let them. Don't be afraid of those energies. When you feel like crying, cry. When you feel a sense of nostalgia strongly, let yourself sink into that a little bit, because it's all working to make your life better moving forward. It's a great time to utilize that energy in really practical ways, like cleaning out your closets, cleaning out a junk drawer, cleaning out your refrigerator of food that isn't good anymore. And those are just practical uses of this kind of energy. But that purging allows space, and it also frees us up, feels lighter. So if you're feeling heavy in your emotions, there are some things to do that you can lighten things up by going outside, getting as much sunshine as you can right now. The sun is moving into Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the sign of love and beauty. So it's a great time to get outside and notice the flowers, notice the new buds, let that wind, hit your face and run through your hair, and, help to foster a feeling of optimism and lightness about moving forward in the face of such heaviness. So when we allow that heaviness of Scorpio to run through us, and with this full moon, it's very potent. Like the moon is at its fullest, it's reflecting back to us our emotions, basically. And so when we can utilize that and not fight it, we just let it move through us, it leaves us feeling much lighter. Similar to that feeling after you have a really big cry. Those ugly cries are incredibly cathartic and therapeutic to cleaning out some of the things, and we usually emerge from that state a little bit lighter. And do that as often as you can through these couple of weeks, and it will definitely help. But that's kind of this week, especially, it could promise to be kind of intense. Now, it is called the pink moon. I don't think it's because of the color. I think the moon itself is probably going to be kind of a golden color and then get really bright whitish as it rises higher in the sky. But it's named after, I think, for the flowers and the planting, the things that are starting to emerge in the spring. So pay attention when you're outside, even if it's just for a few minutes, of the color and the new life that is coming into this space, because that will help lift your emotions if you can. Now, it's a time definitely to get very excited about your future. And sometimes that can be hard in the face of such heaviness. But again, if you utilize those energies right and allow that energy to work through you, move through you, and be kind to the fact that you're feeling such strong emotions. Also, it would be helpful to foster empathy, understanding that other people are also experiencing this energy. It's happening above us. In this world, we all share this kind of intensity, and other people will be going through things also. So when we do that, we extend the kindness and we put more of that into the world. And that helps us all move through this energy very similarly. Now, this collective read, it is just general. I'm just sitting here talking to my computer and envisioning who might be watching this, but it's not pertinent to your life specifically in terms of context. You will have to find the context. But in terms of a general energy, what I'm doing is I have pulled some cards, and I will show those on the screen. And we'll work through that, and then I will do a signs reading where it might be a little more specific to you. If you feel like you want something more specific even, you're welcome to email me. I can send you my pricing and availability for doing personal readings, which would be more just about you. This is a collective read, so take it for that, and I hope you can find something useful in it. When I pulled cards, I didn't really have a set spread that I was pulling, but the main energy that I did pull from is the King of Wands. Now, this is a king, and that is masculine energy, but I am directing this at you, so we're not really going to involve a lot of outer influences. Please know this could mean that you could be dealing with a King of Wands. More than likely, it could be a leader of some kind, a boss figure, a husband, a partner, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, masculine individual. But that's really secondary to the fact that I'm pulling this energy because we all have all of the cards of the tarot in us, like it is in our life. So given that, this card of leadership is something that you could be dealing with right now. I am using the Everyday Witch Tarot deck, which I really love. It's been a go-to deck for a long time. I gifted my deck to a friend of mine, so I had to I missed it so much I had to go out and repurchase the deck. Normally, this isn't a style of illustration that I like the best in terms of art, but tarot's interesting that way in that you can connect to a deck with and not really know if you do or not until you start using it. And I really connect with this one. So it really speaks to everyday kind of situations, and to me that's very helpful to bring it down to our everyday rather than talk in such lofty ways all the time. But the main energy that this could be pulling out this time frame this week is the King of Wands. Now, if we're looking at ourselves, one way to read tarot is to put yourself in the character of the card. And this king is obviously looking at a broad map, and he is pointing out a strategy or a location or a plan. He is talking it through with his cat, maybe trying to teach or to demonstrate what needs to happen or what will happen. But mainly I just see this card as a strategy. It's a masculine energy, which means you could be like taking charge of your own life in terms of you are planning for your own life. This isn't the boss setting the plan unless you're reading it on that secondary level. But mainly it's you. It's you looking at your life, what has worked, what hasn't worked, where we go from here. What is it that we need to do next? It's trying to take a broad view of what we need to do. And with it being a Wands card, Wands represent our actions that we take, things that we initiate. So it's trying to discuss the plan, the future plan. Now, the past energies that came out when I shuffled are the Wheel of Fortune reversed and the Hanged Man reversed. Both of these together, they're major arcana, so they're kind of big things in our life. places where we might have felt stuck and we're tired of feeling stuck. Wheel of Fortune is our life. And it's when it's in reverse, it is a stuck energy or feeling like the world is against us, or, things aren't going our way, or we're victims of circumstance that we can't control. It's basically feeling like we have bad luck or we're kind of stuck. The Hanged Man energy is usually a card of being hung up also, like not being able to move forward until we get more information or we learn something, but it's in reverse and it points to the March time frame. So it's like the only thing I get here in a big way is that we were going along and we might have like run across something that halted us for a while, and we needed to learn something. we just couldn't get things going. Things were not working in our favor. Things were stagnant, and we got kind of fed up with that. Well, that was the old plan, right? The old way of doing something. And maybe we got to this point where we need a new plan. That's where this comes in. All right, we're trying to strategize now how to move forward out of this energy. When the Hangman is in reverse, like it is here, it is a time where we act. We've had enough of that. We learned what we needed to learn. We're ready to move on. We've passed that test, or we've completed that grade level, or we are really ready to move on. We see the error potentially of why we were stuck. It has to do with maybe not knowing how to move forward, because one of the things that is going to be helpful here is the Eight of Cups in reverse. Now, this card is worth explaining. Upright, the Eight of Cups is about walking away from, in a simple way, you could say emotional baggage. It's kind of like getting closure on a situation and then knowing how to move forward. The Cup suit is an emotional card. So it really goes with the Scorpio energy of this full moon. And it's like kind of understanding your past, understanding yourself, understanding the lessons, what happened to you, and understanding your childhood and your relationships, and being able to like move on from that. When it's in reverse, it's like revisiting that. If this came up in any other position, I would say that maybe you were hung up on something. This card is in a position that's saying it may be helpful to go back and revisit something from the past in an emotional sense. That's where that nostalgia comes in. That's where if you have a good cry that you really need to express, it is about expressing emotions, or at least going back and touching base with those. I know that may not make sense. I hope so, but it's wandering kind of back into something to understand why it went wrong, what went wrong, why do you feel that way? If you run across a situation that really makes you upset, it really angers you, it really stirs something up, it may be worth revisiting why, because that will help you move forward. Like when you understand the why you're reacting a certain way, it will definitely help in terms of how we move forward in a different plan. And this isn't going to hit everyone like this example, and I tend to talk in metaphor and examples as a way to try to make these images relatable. But for instance, if someone had started a small business and they reached a point that it just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do for them, or they weren't reaching their goals with it, it may feel stagnant or stuck. And this is that time where we may need to let old ways of doing business go and adapt a new strategy. The problem can be like how? Like, well, what do we do differently? What is it that isn't working? Your emotions here could be the key. If you go back and look at where things failed, or interactions with customers that weren't good, or times where the job was very stressful, it may feel uncomfortable to go revisit things that didn't feel good, but in that could be the solution for how we need to revamp going forward. So it is taking a look at those heavier emotions that could give you the key of what needs to be tweaked to move forward. And anyway, that's kind of what this time is about. What that leads to There's this heavy sense of revisiting past failures or places where we didn't feel like we were appreciated or had a win. That's kind of, I don't know why that is so specific, but that can help. And that never feels very good. But we grow and we learn from our mistakes. We learn from bad interactions. And when we can go back and see what we did wrong, where that went wrong, the inspiration here is going to come in that it maybe enough time has passed that your mind is more open. You see something you didn't see before in the heat of the moment. And now you can see it for what it is. Oh, now I know why that relationship didn't work. I've learned more. I'm a different person now. And now I can look back and see. When you do that, you allow the space to be grateful for that. Okay. In the moment, you probably were not grateful for some things that were failures. But now, with enough insight and enough growth and enough distance, you can look back and see, and you can actually come up with a feeling of gratitude for that because now you see it. And without knowing it, that failure might have it may have pivoted your path in a way that you are where you are right now. And by doing that, by looking at those hard times, we're able to either reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while that maybe something didn't work out right. You're able to express yourself and stand up for yourself and see the situation better. And in doing so, you're integrating failure into who you are. I don't want to keep saying failure because it makes it sound like it always has to be something bad. Sometimes it can be the wins also, but there just seems to be an emphasis this time on things that maybe felt like failure to us or felt like hurt or felt like some kind of wounding. And maybe we've been hanging on to it in a wrong way. And I don't know if you've ever heard the term, when people say that you need to process your emotions. I've never understood quite how to do that, but this kind of is a good roadmap for that. How do you take things that made you feel bad, that maybe you don't want to look at all the time, and just be okay with them? That is the past is the past. Well, it's acceptance and it's compassion for yourself and for the situation. And then looking at what went wrong and how either to do it better in the future or different decisions that you can make or the whys. When we consciously look at those things, that's integration. Like that's accepting that it didn't feel good, but also acknowledging that because of that, you are where you are now. So how do we just pull that in? It's looking at the shadow side, seeing it for what it is and how it has led us to be us. And when we do that, it's no longer really baggage. It's just us. It's part of us. It's grace for ourselves, grace for other people, grace for the situation. And it is in a weird kind of way putting it to rest, but also putting it to use in a positive way. And when we do that, we step into the Emperor energy. And the Emperor energy is this king with all of the other kings. The Emperor is all four kings of the deck combined. So it's just a part of us. It's the leadership part, the one that wants to take action. But he has integrated the past mistakes. He has a much better plan, and he has experience. So those kind of problems from the past are not going to rock him now because he is also the King of Cups. He also has a lot more knowledge. He is the King of Swords. And he is a great planner. He knows how to make the best use of resources. So he is the King of Pentacles also. So we step up in a mature way into this Emperor energy, which normally I see as is pretty much only a masculine, but this is a general read for everyone. So this is really taking charge of our life with the wisdom and the experience of our younger selves. So it's a much more whole version of us planning for the future. And he does have a plan at the, at the scrolls as he's looking at the landscape. He's still a very active king. He's still taking charge of his life, but it's coming from a wholeness of taking the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it into consideration. And it's a very grounded energy, and yet it's very optimistic energy. It's Aries and Taurus energy is what the Emperor represents in tarot, is Aries Taurus energy, and that is this time frame. So it is planning, it's getting a second wind, it's feeling like we can do it, it's confidence in ourselves because we have taken everything, the good and the bad and all of it, and pulled all that together. And instead of being bad energy or good energy or a bad past or a good past, it's just the past. It's just energy. Like you have turned something bad into fuel, right? So instead of it being baggage, it's just fuel. And one way this can work out is if you were going to write, say, an autobiography. You know, you telling your story, good, bad, all of it. To be able to write an autobiography, you almost have to have a little bit of an objective slant. You have to step out of your own life and look at it for what it is and be able to write it. And when you do that, you put your story into the world and it just becomes a force. It just becomes energy, right? You don't know how other people will receive it. You just know that you're putting it out there to do something. Other people aren't necessarily going to have lived through what you did, so they're not going to experience the way that you did, but it can be very helpful to the collective when we tell our stories that way. That went off on a weird tangent. So I don't know if someone is writing or planning this exact kind of thing where you take the culmination of your experience to push out. So, but it's much more helpful to you to take those experiences off of your back, like some kind of albatross you're carrying, and to actually just use it as fuel. And in order to do that, integration is required. So I know that gets a little bit kind of deep, but what's coming next is exactly that thing. The Queen of Cups in reverse and the Sun reverse can talk about being overly emotional, especially about things that make us unhappy. And it's letting the emotions dominate. This energy is about getting control of that by revisiting. So when we get control of that, it's very empowering. And at that point, this card brings to mind a lot of things, and I love it for that. This is the Eight of Wands. This is the ultimate outcome that could be from the energy this week. The Eight of Wands is typically a card of communication, like quick communication, like texting, emailing. It's a quick back and forth. It's also setting intention and reaching out and planting seeds that way of sending out information. In this case, she's sending out wands like into the storm. So this could be a lot of communication this week, potentially about things that didn't work for you. If you received like the wrong, say you put an order in at Amazon or something, and you received the wrong item or it didn't work for you, this would be the email like responding back, putting it out there that you were unhappy with it and you're going to place a return. Now, that was just a tiny example, but it's like sending out that communication. It's also, I get this strong feeling of there's a boldness here to not being exactly sure how your voice or what your voice, how it will be received. It could be like a flurry of communication and you throw yourself into the mix. So this could be a group chat that you join in. You know, this could be throwing your idea into the mix. It also could be when you say something, you're not sure how it will be received, right? That you don't know what will happen when you put yourself out there, but you do. So if you have been wanting to apply for a new job, this is sending your resume out. This is like putting yourself in the ring. Coming from a much more experienced and balanced place. Okay. Maybe what you had in the past wasn't making you happy. And so this is engagement. This is like putting yourself out there and expressing yourself. So the Eight of Wands is a great energy. It also implies kind of movement, which is going to happen anyway with the way things transform, you can't stop spring from coming. It's going to come, right? The seasons are going to change no matter what. This is jumping in with both feet. This is like communicating, putting yourself out there, initiating, being part of that change. So I really like that. And that was really like a lot of information. But it is an intense week. I think the signs that are going to probably be affected the most, it's hard to say because we have all of these signs in our birth charts. I mean, when we were born, all of the signs were in the sky. So it's just to what degree. But the sun signs, the zodiac signs that could feel this energy the most intensely are Leo in your professional 10th house, Taurus in the 7th house, could result in some pretty severe like identity shifts, other parts of your personality really coming to the forefront. Maybe the way you looked at yourself is not really how you see yourself now. And that could have to do with the people around you. Are your friends your friends? There may be some shocking information about maybe who does have your back and who doesn't. Scorpio is in the 1st house. This is where this is happening. So it's all about identity, self-discovery, self-empowerment, realizing that you can overcome change. You can live through change and be better for it. Heavy nostalgia on the Scorpio front, potentially looking back to the past and realizing how much you have overcome, and it can lead to you discovering a lot about yourself. So it could be a very introspective time for Scorpio energies. And Aquarius in the 4th house of home. So things involving your family life and what you choose to have around you in terms of home, what feels stable, what feels safe, what feels good to you, and healing old childhood wounds from that era too. Although we will all experience it, it's just very helpful. I think the most poignant point I can make with this moon is to remember that we all are experiencing it and we are all going through things. So this is a great time to take a pause and remember that everyone is going through something. And I know we see that all the time on memes and people always bossing each other around about being kind and everything. It just may save you trouble in the long run so that you don't blow things out of proportion. So I'm just trying to be helpful to you here. But I will be back with the zodiac sign readings next. Thanks. Okay, the cards I pulled for Aries. Pulled 2 cards. The first one is the 6 of Cups. Now, the 6 of Cups is a card of nostalgia. It could be childhood. It could be siblings. It could be your own children. It's something younger in energy to where you're at right now. So it could be your past. But it's sweet. It's generally sweet energy. Almost all 6 of Cups cards have to do with reconnecting in some way with either your past or a sibling or your own children. And if you can see in the card, this guy is sharing the flowers with someone younger to him. But the flowers are, what's really I'm noticing on the card right now is the lotus flower there in the pool. Lotus flowers typically grow out of something bad. And that was kind of our theme last week, was something good from bad. And paired with the Judgment card in reverse. Judgment is a big energy that is exactly what it sounds like. It's passing judgment on something. It's a large yes or no energy of the deck. But when it's in reverse like this, it's maybe revisiting a negative judgment you had either about someone from your past or a sibling or something, and like sharing. I keep hearing in my head like comparing notes. So I don't know if you had something from the past that you viewed in a negative light, but sharing that experience or talking it over with somebody else might give you a different take on it. It's also reminding you to not judge the past or someone from your past. And I don't say don't judge. I would say withhold judgment. You may not know the full story. There may be more to it. And that's where that comparing notes energy comes into play. So just for the week, it really goes with that full moon energy that I was talking about. of maybe exaggerating or allowing our emotions to get the best of us when we may not know the full story. Kind of interesting. Taurus. The cards that came out are the High Priestess reversed and the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles card is a card of inequality somehow, and it's a Pentacles card, so it's in the material realm of money, of resources, of things that are tangible in the real world. Normally upright, this card would be a card of like equal give and take. You go do your job, you get paid for the hours you worked. You put in a certain amount of resources, you get out something balanced, something fair. And when it's in reverse, it's not. Something is not fair and it's not balanced. And you may, with the High Priestess here, High Priestess energy represents our own intuition. It can be a very secretive energy. It could be things that are known but not seen. And so when it's in reverse, it's not listening to ourselves. There may be something off that you can't really get a read on, or it was a time frame when you cannot. I'm trying to think how this is coming out. It's been something that you haven't been able to grasp. Maybe you didn't know something was not fair, or maybe you were behaving in a way that wasn't fair, but you weren't seeing it. It also could be in a very clear way, just a secret coming out. I don't have the explosive energy that could come out in terms of like secrets being revealed or something, but it is something that maybe you weren't even aware of that wasn't fair. And the Scorpio full moon is definitely a time when that might surface. So there may be a realization that either you were off on something that you thought, or there was more going on behind the scenes. Maybe you weren't aware of the why of something. So expect to have enlightenment in an area. Something might become apparent to you about why something wasn't fair or wasn't equal, or something was out of balance, but you were not picking up on it. So I would say that that's kind of reveal energy for this week. You may get, I don't even know what realm that might come in, but be on the lookout for something being revealed, potentially to the why, or an imbalance that comes to light. Maybe that's the easier way to say it, that you just didn't see. And if you're doing it, that could be revealed. I mean, if you were the one keeping any kind of secret that something wasn't fair, that could come to the surface also. Oh, and when it comes to the surface, there may be a huge change that accompanies that. So, sorry for the vagueness there. That's really all I got with that. Gemini. All right, with Gemini, the King of Cups came out in reverse and the Death card. This is one of the best Death cards I've seen in any of the tarot. And I am going to take a second with Gemini here to explain that the Death energy is not something to be afraid of. It's actually right in the middle of tarot, in the story of the tarot. It represents a point of transformation. Okay, the process of transformation, death and rebirth. So Death card can be something ending for sure, but nothing really ever ends in tarot. It's all very cyclical. It moves into something else. It's more process driven, kind of like the seasons changing. It is representative of Scorpio energy. So with this combination, I don't want to laugh here because it's not like funny, but the King of Cups in reverse is someone who is not in control of their emotions, okay? It can be emotional manipulation. It can be somebody just not thinking or feeling right about a situation. It can also be somebody who have let their emotions like take over where they should have been in control. So maybe you didn't do something, or you haven't done something because you've been too afraid, or maybe something under the surface has made you so angry, but you've held that anger in and it's very explosive right now. Now, this death energy looks like, I mean, the rope there is frayed and it's just about to snap. So if you can see in the background also, the metaphor is displayed here of like one door closing and then one opening, like, closing the door on one thing, and you're just waiting for that one thread to just snap, and then something moves into new territory. So both of these are Scorpio energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if on some level somewhere Geminis aren't dealing with Scorpio, but we don't know the birth chart of everybody we encounter. So it's kind of impossible to say for sure who might be a Scorpio in your life. Just know that whatever was under the surface in terms of your emotions may end up coming out, or you might be around someone who really changes. If this is somebody who wasn't in control of their emotions, or was being manipulative or not emotionally honest about something, if that's you, I look for there to be a breaking point where you come out and say what you were really thinking, where you come out and express yourself, that creates a change. So that intensity of this week, you may have people speaking up. You may find out something about somebody that you didn't even realize they felt that way, or you express something. But I do think whatever was emotionally manipulative or emotionally hidden or not dealt with could definitely come to the surface this week. Okay, Cancer. All right. Cancer also got the Judgment card, and it also is in reverse. And I kind of sit here and shuffle. I'm not doing a mad, crazy shuffle, but I'm shuffling as I go. The Knight of Wands energy represents quick actions that we take, maybe impulsive actions. That fire energy can also be someone younger to you, but mainly, I mean, I said before that the Judgment in reverse is like the no energy. It's passing judgment on something. If this is something, I mean, I can't help but see that dragon and feel like that this is a slaying the dragon kind of moment. If there's something that maybe you have held off on, or you were quick to dismiss, I would say hold off on doing anything super rash this week. Okay, that's kind of the nature of this, is to stay away from the rashness, but I'm really getting something. There's a lot here. I think I could probably do a whole reading on that, but it has to do with your own fears taking over, and you might make a rash decision to either go after something or to initiate, tackling something because you've been afraid of, that's not coming out right, but something about your fear coming up and overriding, and then you act because you're either, it's just a rash movement, and it's coming out of a place of I don't even know how to say that. Don't act from fear. Don't rush into anything, and watch any knee-jerk judgments on anything. I would say just bide your time for a minute. Keep your eye on it. Like, he's not going after that dragon right this second, even though it's probably terrifying to see. He's got his wand ready, if you notice, but I would say just hold off like any knee jerk, but keep your eye on something. Keep your eye on something, but don't make a rash move. Sorry about all that. I kind of got lost in that for a minute. Okay, Leo. Energy for the week that would be helpful. The Tower reversed, and the Empress reversed. Okay, Leo. I don't really particularly love that these cards came out in reverse, but in terms of being helpful for the week, basically this is saying if you feel like you are not getting things done that you really wanted to do, if you're not in your best self, if you are not able to create something, to avoid like burning the whole thing down. So the easiest way I can say that is in metaphor form for Leos this week. If something isn't going exactly the way that you wanted, I wouldn't scrap the whole plan. Like I wouldn't do anything irreversible this week. It may feel like it. I want to say the words that are coming to mind is that something is part of the process. I pulled one more card to try to help. It's the Chariot. You may find yourself not knowing which way to go, or it may have to do with something with travel or your car or something, because that is Chariot energy also. Don't like. I wouldn't write something off all the way yet. It has that same kind of judgment energy from before, except in this case, I think you have the power to be incredibly destructive potentially over something that still has some benefit. So I'm hearing a cooperative spirit. Keep a cooperative spirit, even if you have to kind of bite your tongue, which is really kind of opposite of all the other energy, but it's like not burning a bridge. Okay, Virgo energy. Be helpful this week. Virgo energy this week is kind of interesting. The Four of Wands reverse is something kind of unsettled or not stable. It generally has to do with something in the home realm. The Four of Wands is often seen as the home card, but it could be any structure that you're trying to build, any kind of stability that you've tried to achieve, and it may feel less than stable this week. If something feels unstable, it may be time to like try something new, to have faith in yourself. The Fool energy is the very beginning of the tarot, and I hear, beginner's mind is coming to mind, but having faith in yourself and having faith in a new start. If something is kind of like not overly stable, I wouldn't take the standpoint that it's all doom and gloom. This is actually a very happy combination. If there's instability in any way, you may look for that to be an opening to try something new, to have faith, to take a risk, but mainly to believe in yourself and to keep the optimism about what's coming. So you may find a housing situation change. You may find a group that you're working with is fractured or not working together, but from a little bit of instability could come something really good. So it is time for something new, even if it's a new mindset, but optimism and belief in self would really be helpful this week. So if something is unstable now, maybe it's just having the belief that you can make it stable, that you can get there. But that's kind of good, because I felt like it was like cracks. I wouldn't, don't be alarmist if something isn't stable. That instability could be exactly what you need in terms of like the initiative to do something, to try something new. Libra. Libra energy is another it's a combination also of really encouraging optimism. The Four of Cups is a card of kind of apathy and being, it could be depressed energy even. but it's just kind of a stuck, emotionally kind of stuck energy, or a low emotional energy. It's not caring about something. I tend to read it as kind of apathy about your situation. You might be stable, but you're really not inspired to do anything about it. When it's in reverse, it is. It's like kind of standing up and caring about your situation. If you're feeling yourself kind of depressed or stuck in a way, it's moving into that Two of Wands, which is looking bigger than you. Okay, this is maybe looking outside of your usual choices or your options to get inspiration, because there are more options. This is that moment where you get up off the couch and say, I'm going to do something about my situation because I really suddenly care about how I feel. This is caring about how you feel and making a decision about what to do about it. The problem may be, and I don't see this as a problem, this is an advice section. He's holding the world in one hand, so that could be representative of like the internet. You know, maybe you need to go broader than your area, broader than your own mind, and include bigger views and bigger opinions and more inspiration to come up with more options for yourself. So if you need inspiration, look beyond your own backyard. You know, you could scroll on Pinterest. You could look up recipes. You could, talk to your neighbor. You could ask other people's opinions. What you're trying to do with the Two of Wands is decide on what to do about a situation that you not suddenly really, but you find yourself wanting to care about. Something that maybe you were just blah about before, now you're not, and now you need, well, what do I do about it? And so you're trying to kind of get fired up. If you didn't care if your yard was a mess before and now you care, maybe you want to go to Lowe's and get some more inspiration, talk to some people there who have a nice garden, get information, get options, that kind of thing, so that you can make decisions, because I think you're wanting to change a situation. Okay, Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio. This is the King of Swords and the Eight of Cups in reverse. Now, we've already seen the Eight of Cups in reverse. This is about, like, wandering back into a situation, right? Emotionally. Like, revisiting a situation. It could be a partnership of some kind. It could be a friend or a family member or someone you work with or someone that, you care about. The King of Swords in reverse, though, has to do with either not knowing what to say, not knowing what to think about a situation, or having the wrong information about a situation. So it may be like that you have the wrong idea about something. You need to go back because your idea about it, it's not right. So you may have to go back and take a second look at something, or spend time. Maybe you've told yourself a story that is wrong. Like if a relationship broke up and you've been hanging on to that breakup for quite a while now, a decade or so, maybe the story that you're telling yourself is that you're unlovable, or you've had a problem and it makes you not worthy or not good in relationships. That may not be the correct story. It might not be the real thing. So you may need to actually go back into something that didn't feel good, or some emotional situation, and take a different look at it from maybe where you're at now. Really examine that. This is another one worth taking in one more card for. And it's the Seven of Cups reversed. This is exactly the energy that I was talking about. Upright, this is like the daydreaming card, the card of illusion, the card of not like anything could be. It's way up here. There could be good ideas, bad ideas, but it's sheer imagination. When it's reversed, it's getting really clear about what it is, right? So if you were going to start a new project, you have to brainstorm, right? Anything could be. and here's after we decide what it really is. So in your case, with these other two cards, this is like not having any delusions about it. It's like seeing something for really what it is. If you need to go talk to somebody, if you need to go clear something up, it's being very clear. It's taking it out of the realm of the imagination, out of the realm of maybe self-talk that was colored by you know, a bad self-image or something, or bad memories about something, and going and getting really clear on what something is for real, which really makes sense because this full moon does exactly that. It lets go of old ideas and welcomes in only things that are going to benefit us for the future. So purging and allowing a change that needs to happen. And that could be, in your case, clearing up something that maybe has been going around your own head, like lying to yourself. Sagittarius. Sagittarius. This combination is one I don't see very often. The Magician and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. This is so interesting. A lot is coming through with how to take the energy this week and utilize this advice. Number one, it's the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. It's talking about like no heavy contracts, no longevity. There may be a lack of money or stability somewhere that you're trying to overcome with the Magician energy. But it's also about not worrying about the outcome, not worrying about the long term. It could be not doing things the way they've always been done. So if you are in a position to operate or do something, you may not be doing it the way that it has always done. You could be operating on your own energy, and it's important to not take a look at or get hung up on what's going to happen in the far future, or how much money something's going to make, or anything like that. This is about like coming up with a new, I want to say, generational plan. And I don't really know where that is coming from. It might be helpful if I just explain the cards really quickly. But when the when the Ten of Pentacles is upright, this talks about inheritance, long-term contracts. This talks about generational kinds of wealth and generational ways of doing things, and values, things like that. If you signed it, this is a contract card. So this is like commitment. And if you see on the card, there's like different generations of people here in a family setting, in a collective group. And when it's in reverse, it's like no longevity, no commitment. And we have the Magician. Now, the Magician's an awesome energy. It's the second card in the tarot. And it's at the point where you evaluate if you have what it takes to do something. So if you're going to bake a cake, this Magician energy would be at the point where you go make sure you have all the parts, all the ingredients you need. Make sure you have the right pan. Make sure you have an oven. You set the timer, or set the preheat. It's evaluating if you have the tools to get a job done. Now, it looks like you may have enough in the short run, but not enough in the longer run. So it's important to stay focused in the short run on that energy, because the Magician is a capable energy. It's the I can do, and it's conjuring. So, but it's also a card of here, it's very independent. There's a whole bunch of people on the other card. The magician in here is singular. It's just him. And so it's this weird thing of operating independently, maybe differently than anything's ever been done before that you're aware of. Or if you're in a role at work, you could be doing it in a way that no one else has, or it could be a new role. But the thing is, it is trying to operate in the here and now. You may be trying to get something established and it isn't yet. But the tens all represent endings. So to me, it's almost like letting an old way of being go and coming up and masterfully coming up with a new way to proceed forward. Now that can be without money, without certain obligations or values that were from an older generation. It feels weird. It feels like you are marching to your own drummer and setting up a new path is really what it feels like to me. That makes sense also with the Scorpio transformation, death energy here of this moon is kind of like operating freelance. Like no contracts, not being tied to something, not being held down by something from the past. If it has to do with money, it could be setting out on a path to create new generational wealth, your own path, going your own way. That just keeps coming out. Okay, Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn energy is interesting and pretty simple, it feels like. The Seven of Pentacles is a card of investing, all right? And it's in the pentacle realm, so it has to do with your money, your time, your attention to something. It's in the real world. So this is the point where, you know, she has tended this garden. It's not, the fruit isn't ripe yet. It's not time to harvest, but it is time to like nurture and pay attention and invest because there will be a payoff. It's a 7 and everything in tarot is cyclical. So we operate from in the tarot deck from 2 to 10, you know, so it's a 7 out of 10. So it's just tending to it, steady. It's having patience. It's understanding the nature of growth, that you can't pick things too early. It's waiting something out. It is a great deal of patience with something you've had an investment in. And then with it is the 3 of Pentacles upright and the 3 of Swords in reverse. So this is like getting past a disappointment, something that didn't work out, and embracing a very cooperative spirit or a plan that may involve other people. Now, what I like is that 7, either way you go about it, you're replacing a disappointment. The 3 of Swords is always a disappointment, but that's a 3. So the 3 plus the 7 is a 10. You're replacing the disappointment with cooperation. And I really like that. That's like letting go of a past disappointment and embracing cooperation and cooperative energy. So there may have been a pause to something that you have an investment in that maybe it's just been disappointing. It's taken so long. But honestly, with the 2 3s there, I feel an energy swap. I feel like the patience could pay off if you embrace a more cooperative spirit after some kind of disappointment. There is completion there. There is potential there for long term. There's potential for something to come to full fruition, but it will take overcoming being disappointed and embracing cooperation. That could be, you know, in any setting really, but that's the Pentacle realm, so it's kind of interesting to me. Like it might be work or a project. If it's something, or you know, in your house or your home or something, you may need to let other people help you finish something. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, Aquarius. Aquarius energy. This is kind of cool. Two kind of heavy hitter cards for Aquarius. And I did say in the first part of the reading that Aquarius is one of the signs that will definitely feel this full moon really intensely. But I have the Temperance energy and the Empress. Temperance is an energy of Sagittarius, and the Empress is Aries or Taurus. So I don't know if you're dealing with those signs or not, but Temperance is all about having patience and moderation and being balanced with something. So I love that it's depicted with a yoga pose, but also in the background, you have the cupcakes and things. And if you look at her face in the Temperance card, she is meditating, she is being calm, but she does have one eye open. So it is keeping an eye on something, but it's not being overzealous. It's really, really trying to exercise a great amount of moderation right now. And the Empress is all about like a project or something new that isn't ready to be birthed yet into the world. She's almost always shown as a pregnant woman, and it can be like baby related, but more than not, it is that divine Empress or divine feminine energy of wanting to create. It's the act of creation, but it's a process. So this is quite literally having patience with the process of a project, or keeping an eye on someone who is in the act of creation. It's being in control of yourself and understanding the nature of chemistry and timing, and that everything requires its own amount of time. So timing with something. So I wouldn't rush. If you feel the need to rush, definitely take a moment and do those things I mentioned, getting out into nature. You don't want to hurry something right now. There is a very specific timing to Aquarius's reading. I kind of like that. It's keeping yourself busy and moderating yourself through this time. Okay, Pisces. Okay, Pisces. We have that. Now, I have been shuffling, and I purposely shuffled like in all different ways so that I was trying to, not have all the cards stay where in the position they were, but I still got that Eight of Cups in reverse. So that's kind of cool. Got the Hanged Man upright this time. We have seen it in this reading reversed before. The Hanged Man energy is Pisces energy. So it could be talking about going back to the time frame of Pisces, which was late February into mid-March. Emotionally speaking, it could be that it would be beneficial to either go back to that time frame, something that didn't make you feel good, something that wasn't emotionally satisfying, and what you could find what a problem was, or you could find the solution to what seemed like a problem then. Because the Hanged Man energy is about not being able to proceed forward until we become enlightened. We need more information about something. We need to look at something from a different point of view. When you look at, like, he is strung up, so he cannot keep going forward, right? But when he is upside down like this, you see the world differently. So it's like turning the world on its head to be able to see something from a different point of view, to gain more insight, to learn something more. It could be the need to just let your dreams inform you even. Pisces energy is very dream centered, but it is kind of wandering back into possibly what made you feel stuck. I'm noticing the lock on his wrist. What is the problem? Like, that's kind of what you may have to go revisit a time frame. I don't know why I keep hearing that it's just that time frame, but what is it that that was the problem, but you may have to go back to it, and it may not have felt very good. It may have been something that felt stagnant, that felt maddening because you couldn't go on, or something that didn't, it just couldn't get going or something. I don't know why I feel just real stuck energy. And I want a clarification on that. So the clarification here is the Five of Wands. This is the card of too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Some drama, too many people having a say. It's busy energy, but it's not productive energy. So I would say with Pisces, it's revisiting a time when something prevented you from moving forward, but it really wasn't for anything. Like, where is the waste? Where's the inefficient use of time or energy? Taking a look at that and then trying to get rid of that moving forward. If we kind of put it in the context of the full moon, what can you let go of that is busy work that isn't helping the bigger goal? So it's the need to like get rid of things that, number one, cause you unhappiness, but number two, are just busy with no real positive effect on what you're trying to do. So I hope that helps. I really kind of got lost in several of those, so I apologize for that. I'm still kind of getting used to this way of reading immediately on camera. This isn't the most comfortable format for me. Usually I like to lay the cards out and give myself 10 or 15 minutes to kind of absorb the storyline. And so when I read like this, where I'm just pulling cards and going after the fact, I always wish I would have said more. So I would love to have any comments or suggestions or things where this did relate to you, because I know there's so much more to each one, but I'm doing it on the spot. So yeah, anything you'd like to say or contribute, that would be helpful. So thank you very much. And I wish you a very good week. Bye.